Hi, welcome back to Preparing for the Rapture. This is video 61. My name is Christine, and before we get started, I have a confession to make. I have some doubts as to whether there's a pre-trib rapture. I definitely don't think that the rapture, as we think of it, will happen in the middle of the tribulation. I just don't see that from Scripture, personally. But I have been listening to Jonathan Cahn's The Dragon Prophecy. I have been reading other books on eschatology or the end times. I've been watching videos on TikTok and YouTube from pastors, preachers, teachers who study the Bible and the prophetic. And some of what they have said makes sense. So I'm going to say, please stick with me because it's going to get really interesting once we get to Revelation. I'll discuss some of the things that suggest a pre-tribulation rapture versus an end times, just post-tribulation second coming. For now, let's get into Daniel 12. Now at that time, Michael, the great prince who stands guard over the sons of your people, will arise. Michael is the prince of Israel. He's the archangel kind of in charge of that entire country. Most Jews and Christians believe that we have guardian angels, that there are angels or messengers of God, and that some may be specifically assigned to watch over us, and some may be specifically assigned to watch over entire nations. And that may go for the demonic as well as for the heavenly. But Michael is the archangel under God in charge of Israel. From what we read in the Bible, there's several mentions of him in that regard. He will rise, and there will be a time of distress such as never occurred since there was a nation until that time. And at that time, your people, everyone who is found written in the book, will be rescued. So the time of distress or persecution or tribulation will come, for sure. And many of those who sleep in the dust of the ground will awake, these to everlasting life, but the others to disgrace and everlasting contempt. So there's a prophesied resurrection of the Jews. Whether that is just the resurrection of Israel as a nation, whether that will be part of the rapture when Jesus brings back the dead and changes the living, and we all meet him in the sky, and we all have our new glorified bodies, and we all go up to heaven until the tribulation is done, and then we come back with him. Or whether that resurrection is going to be at the very end of the age, after the tribulation, everyone who has ever died, good and bad, will be resurrected and sorted and judged. Again, more to come on that. There is so much to cover. Many of those who sleep in the dust of the ground will awake, these to everlasting life, but the others to disgrace and everlasting contempt. So it does sound like the white throne judgment. And those who have insight will shine brightly like the brightness of the expanse of heaven, and those who lead the many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. Stars generally refers to angels. But as for you, Daniel, conceal these words and seal up the book until the end of time. Many will go back and forth, and knowledge will increase. It's interesting that we are just now starting to understand some of these things. We didn't know a lot about it before, but my granddad was one of the first generation that really got into eschatology, my grandparents. And the end times, and there's a lot of archaeological finds and a lot of study and going back to the original Hebrew and Greek words that has explained a lot of what we did not know before. But as for you, Daniel, conceal these words and seal up the book until the end of time. Many will go back and forth, and knowledge will increase. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, 2 others were standing, one on this bank of the river, and the other on that bank of the river. And one said to the man dressed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, How long will it be until the end of these wonders? And I heard the man dressed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, as he raised his right hand and his left toward heaven, and swore by him who lives forever, that it would be for a time, times, and half a time. And as soon as they finish shattering the power of the holy people, all these events will be completed. Let's talk about that real quick. Time, times, and half a time. 42 months. And I forget the number of days. All equal to 3.5 years. So time is a year, times would be 2 years, and half a time is half of a year in this case. And we know that because of other references to similar events. It's talking about the second half of the tribulation. Because as soon as they finish shattering the power of the holy people, could be Israel, could be Christians, could be both, all these events will be completed. As for me, I heard but could not understand. So I said, My Lord, what will be the outcome of these events? And he said, Go your way, Daniel, for these words are concealed and sealed up until the end time. Again, I find it interesting that we've started to be able to interpret it only recently. Many will be purged, purified, and refined. Again, talking about the tribulation. But the wicked will act wickedly, and none of the wicked will understand. But those who have insight will understand. And from the time that the regular sacrifice is abolished, and the abomination of desolation is set up, there will be 1,290 days. How blessed is he who keeps waiting and attains to the 1,335 days. But as for you, go your way to the end, then you will enter into rest and rise again for your allotted portion at the end of the age. So the regular sacrifice will be abolished. I think we've already mentioned that the Antichrist will make a pact with Israel for 7 years. Halfway through the 7 years, 3.5 years in, he will break that pact, and they will no longer be able to sacrifice. He will set up the abomination of desolation, which is probably an idol of himself in the holy temple that will be rebuilt. It may be when he tries to set himself up as God in the temple, or some combination thereof. So when that happens, the regular sacrifice is abolished and the abomination of desolation is set up. There will be 1,290 days. How blessed is he who keeps waiting and attains to the 1,335 days. So I think the 1,290 is the 3.5 years, and then 1,335 days is 75 days after that. $65 days. Well, anyway, there's a 75-day interval that is mentioned in Isaiah that I think I covered, and we'll talk about again for sure. All right. So I know this is a lot, but what you need to know is that Michael is in charge of Israel, and we'll discuss who's in charge of other nations. You need to know that we must be approaching the end time because things are starting to become clear. From archaeological discoveries, from going back to the original Hebrew and Greek and interpreting, and from signs that we're seeing today. Even the atrocities that happened on the 7th of October in 2023 may be the beginning of some of the events that we will see in the end time. But there's definitely a tribulation of 7 years, and there's definitely a lot that happens in the first half and the second half, and there's an obvious middle when the regular sacrifice will be abolished and the abomination of desolation will be set up. I hope that makes it a little more clear. If it's clear as mud for you, then please ask me any questions. And if I don't know the answer, I'll look into the books and sources that I have been studying and get back to you, for sure. I welcome healthy debate. You're free to debate with me or others, but please do keep it kind and respectful, as always. And please don't wait until it's too late, because even if the tribulation or the rapture or the return of Jesus Christ, we don't know when it could happen. It could happen at any moment. And we don't know when our time will be. We don't know. We could be in a car crash tomorrow. We could not know that we have a deadly illness. You need to live as if you could die within the next 5 minutes, for all we know. But we do hope and we do plan far into the future for even our children and grandchildren. And I think that is really what the study of eschatology is all about. Learning, okay, we have hope in Jesus Christ, and we can hope for the best and prepare for the worst, kind of deal. All right. I know this one was a little longer, but thank you for sticking with me. I hope you all have a wonderful week. God bless. Take care.